What's going on, everybody? C4 here today, continuing with my post-draft grades, and we'll be talking about the NFC North and breaking it down overall. Not a no real bad drafts outside of an obvious one that we're going to touch on for the second team. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in. 150 likes to show appreciation, maybe, for all this work. I'm not a man working for the man, NFL Network, ESPN, non-biased takes here. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed, this is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. I'm doing this preamble before. Let's jump right into the Detroit Lions at pick 21 in the first round. They selected my boy, Jarrad Davis, the linebacker from Florida. I'm giving this a B+. I think if Jarrad Davis didn't have his injury history, he would have been considered a much higher pick. Well, not maybe much higher, but a much more solid pick. Like, I think it'd be 1A, 1B with him and Reuben Foster, where for a lot of the draft process, it was clearly Reuben Foster and then everybody else. Jarrad Davis, big-time leader, fills a need for the Detroit Lions. I think he's going to start at inside linebacker. Him and Tahir Whitehead for sure. Maybe, Paul Warlow. Whoever else they really want to get going there, but this defense is not going to rely on Jarrad Davis' leadership. He's a big-time hitter. He's going to set the tone on that defense, and it was a position of need for the Detroit Lions, so I give it a B+. Could have been higher, but still, you got to be concerned about the injury history, so that's why we can only give it a B+. Second round pick, 252. Round 2, pick 253. They got TEEZ TABOR, the corner from Florida, back-to-back. I love you, Detroit, for showing some love to my Gators. TEEZ TABOR, giving us a B-, just because I think to get the true value from him would have been to get him in the third round because of his poor testing. But still give us a B-. You know what? Actually, we're going to change this. We're just going to make this a solid B. B- makes it sound like I hate this pick. Another position in need. I think they need to get another starting corner opposed Darius Slay, and TEEZ can certainly be that guy. I think it's going to be him and Nevin Lawson for the other outside corner spot. And TEEZ TABOR's tape, along with Sidney Jones, was the best in college. Clearly, we all know he tested fairly poor, 4.6, 40s. But that's running in a straight line. Doesn't show the instincts, doesn't show your fight, your heart, determination. It really kind of reflects more so on your preparation, which certainly can be cause for concern. Because, forever, TEEZ TABOR, first-round pick, falling now all the way down to 53. Kind of sucks for him, but I think he's going to a team that's going to be able to use him to the most of his ability, and that is the Detroit Lions. So I'm giving this overall now a B. Third-round pick, 56, we got Kenny Golladay, the wide receiver from Northern Illinois. Big fan of this pick, gave it a C+ with a lot of upside during the combine. I mean, he looked like a height, weight, speed guy. That was it. But during the on-field drills, man, I couldn't tell that he didn't look like a superstar. Looked as good as any other wide receiver that was there at the combine. Really, really fluid, really solid hands, solid route running. I think he's a guy at a low-key position in need here for the Lions. Because after Golden Tate and after Marvin Jones, I mean, who's really there that's going to be a game-changer potentially? I just see a bunch of depth guys. So I think Golladay can certainly push for that third wide receiver spot. So that's a C+ with upside. Fourth round, 125, they got Jalen REEVES-MAYBIN, the linebacker from Tennessee. Really, really like this pick. Their first four picks are all players I really, really like. But I think with Jalen REEVES-MAYBIN, I thought, kind of a reach for me. If I was grading this based just on the player and its upside, I'd give it higher. Right now, I'm just giving it another C+ with upside. I had Jalen REEVES-MAYBIN probably go in the 6th, 7th round because of the injury concerns, injury history. Did have a lot of tape that you could look at last year during Tennessee because he was banged up. But you see a lot of similarities between him and Michael Kendricks here in the Philadelphia Eagles. Good linebacker pick, solid depth guy that'll probably be able to contribute on special teams right away and eventually carve out a role. And what is, in terms of depth, the Lions don't have a lot of depth at the linebacking core, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think REEVES-MAYBIN could certainly, if he has a good camp, good preseason, could get that top title as top depth for the Detroit Lions. So C+ with upside for that pick. Fourth round pick, 127. They got Michael Roberts, the tight end from Toledo. I'm going to plead the fifth. Not super familiar with them, so I gave him a C. Fifth round pick, 165. Jamal Agnew, a corner from San Diego. Another pick. Who's this guy, to be completely honest with you? So I'm giving that a C- because it didn't even seem like he was going to get drafted in a lot of circles. They got him in the 5th round. Sixth round, 205. Jeremiah Ledbetter, the defensive end from Arkansas. Not a bad pick at all. Give that a C. Solid camp body. 6th round, 215. They got KAAYA, the quarterback from Miami. Give this a B. That is tremendous value to get a guy like that. Now they have a backup quarterback with some upside behind Matthew Stafford. Guy can develop. Hopefully, Matt Stafford never gets hurt. And you can eventually maybe flip KAAYA after some impressive preseason performances into some nice draft picks down the road. Kind of like in the mold of what New England usually likes to do. So I like that pick. That's a B. And then 7th round, 250, they got Pat O'Connor, who's a defensive end from Eastern Michigan. No idea who that is, so I'm giving that a C- for a final grade of C+ with the Detroit Lions. Really big fans of their first 4 picks, even though I may not disagree with where they drafted them, but the prospects themselves, I like them. And then Brad KAAYA in the 6th, that's a very favorable draft pick. So C+ with upside for the Detroit Lions. Moving on next to the Chicago Bears. First, I'm going to start off by saying I'm sorry, Bears fan. And that's Bears fan. I assume there's only a couple of you out there still, because that was a disappointing draft class to say the least. Basically, they gave up 3 picks and I think a future pick to move up 1 spot to select Mitchell Trubisky, the quarterback from North Carolina. Even though they paid decent money to Mike Glennon, even though they offered the opportunity to Mike Glennon to probably get the starting gig there, I think Mike Glennon certainly should get an opportunity to get that starting gig. But now you just gave yourself a goddamn headache, a QB dilemma. And I don't really see Mitchell Trubisky being a franchise quarterback. I think, debatably was the best quarterback in this year's draft class, but everyone was going on and on about how this year's draft class at quarterback's fairly weak in comparison. But then again, I can't remember the last time there was a strong quarterback class. But I think giving all those picks, it just seems like they needed a quarterback and they have no faith in Mike Glennon, which is just an added headache to me. And they could have got a better player on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm giving this Trubisky pick a C. Going to the 2nd round pick 45, they got Adam Shaheen, the tight end from Ashland, who is upside, has some upside for sure. But level of competition, I mean, that's way down there. A lot of people had him as somewhere between number 4 and number 6 on their tight end rankings. And the people after him, George Kittle, which I personally had George Kittle ahead of Shaheen, he went in the 5th round. So getting that in the 2nd round, when you don't have a whole lot of picks, especially because you gave up some to trade up for Trubisky, you go tight end, where you already have Zach Miller, who's solid. You signed Deion Sims in free agency, he's solid. You got Shaheen, a project player. No, I'm giving that a D+. I mean, certainly there's upsides. There's things to like about Shaheen. He could very well be, like a lot of people compare him to a mini Gronk, which is always a nice little comparison. But he's coming from Ashland. It's going to take him a little bit to get acclimated here to the professional level. So that was not a great pick at all. 4th round, 112. They got Eddie Jackson, the safety from Alabama. I actually did like that pick. I'm giving that a C+, even though he does have the injury concerns. It's not really a position of need with Quentin Demps and Adrian Amos back there. I like the pick. Definitely see some upside there with Eddie Jackson. So that's a C+. 4th round, 119, they got TARIK Cohen from North Carolina AT. Very surprised with this pick, because then they just bring in Bandy Cunningham from the Rams to be their pass catching back behind Jordan Howard. So unless Cohen's really going to just predominantly be a special teamer, you still got a lot of holes here, Bears. I don't think getting a return man is key number 1, but then again, who knows? Maybe we can't knock the Bears. Maybe this is the same Bears team that got Devin Hester. Maybe they want to get that lethal, explosive lightning bolt on special teams, and maybe they think Cohen can be that very, very small guy. He's like 5'6", like 170. I'm going to say C with upside. I'm going to want to wait and see and how they plan on using Cohen. And then in the 5th round, 147, they got Jordan Morgan, the guard from Kutztown. I think that's a very solid value pick. So I'm giving that a C+. Good job on that one. So outside, really, of Eddie Jackson and Jordan Morgan, I mean, it really does rely on the Trubisky pick panning out. And I think I'm going to bet against that. If there's odds, and you got a gun to my head, I would bet against Trubisky and Shaheen in the 2nd round really working out there for the Bears. Man, you guys must really miss Joe Douglas, huh? So overall, I'm giving the Bears a C-. I think they may debatably have had the worst draft out of any team. But, hey, come on, Bears, keep your head up. At least you got Jordan Howard last year, all right? He's a superstar. You got yourself a superstar back there. Moving on next to the Green Bay Packers, who traded out of the 1st round to trade it back. So then their first pick was at pick 33, where they selected Kevin King, the corner from Washington. I like this pick. It was definitely a position in need to go. I think running back and corner were the 2 big dogs. And getting a guy like Kevin King, who was a fringe 1st rounder, being able to trade back, get more allocations, and still get a top corner is a great thing to do. So I'm going to say B+ right now. Could very well be a fringe A-, somewhere like that. But I'm just going B+, whereas Kevin King certainly... I think Kevin King just benefited from names dropping off the board more so than, like, oh my God, the more people analyze this tape, the more he looked legit. I think he was just more of, Garyon Conley, Sidney Jones getting hurt, TEEZ Tabor running really, really bad. I think that was more case. He's still a very nice corner and probably will end up being the starter opposed to Demarius Randall. So it was a nice pick there, so that's a B+. And then their second round pick at 61, they got Josh Jones, the safety from NC State. I like the player. I mean, he tested out. He was a combine warrior. I mean, 6'1", 220. Ran 4.41, something like that. But if they just view him as a safety, which is, that's all I've heard, that's a C+, because I don't think safety is a position of need for them. They get Clinton Dix, Morgan Burnett. I mean, if you're playing on the future and you think maybe he could take over from Morgan Burnett, at the strong safety role, then I guess. But this is a team that wants to win now. This is a team that wants to come in and compete next year. But it got with Josh Jones certainly probably could be viewed a little bit as a corner in some certain packages and stuff like that, unless they just want to bring him in specialized to block, you know, tight ends and running backs in special packages. Maybe he's a versatile weapon back there, but I just think maybe they could have won a better position here at pick 61 than getting another safety. But in terms of the prospect, Josh Jones in the second round, that's a B. But because for the Packers, where I think there's better needs they could have went after, I'm only have to keep it as a C+. Third round, 93, they got Montravious Adams, the defensive tackle from Auburn. I'm giving that a B. I really do like that pick. Solid depth to add to the defensive line. A little bit undersized of a nose tackle. I think that's where they're going to play him. I don't really see him more so as a defensive end, but I think there's competition now for the nose tackle spot between him and Christian Ringo, so that's a B. Fourth round, 105, they got Vince Biegel, the linebacker from Wisconsin. I like that pick. Nice hard-nosed type player. Definitely fits the mentality of that defense. Adds some brawn to it. Big type playmaker. Probably will be the top depth behind a Nick Perry or Clay Matthews, depending on what side they want. So I'm giving that a C+. Fourth round, 134, they got Jamal Williams, the running back from BYU. Power back, could already be, you know, their short yardage back day one. So that's a C with upside. Got to wait and see. He probably will ball out during the preseason because, you know, even the depth offensive linemen there in Green Bay usually perform fairly well. So I think upside with that. Fifth round, 175, they got DEANGELO YANCY, the wide receiver from Purdue, I believe. Nice elusive guy, small slot type playmaker. Probably going to be depth behind Randall Cobb. And, no, it's not. He's in, yeah, I'm mixed. Yancey's not. Yancey's like 6 feet something, 210. Oh, he's a big power guy, actually. Who am I thinking of? I don't know who I'm thinking of. But yeah, Yancey's actually a bigger guy. I think. Let me see if I can actually find it. I think he's like 215, 220. 6 feet, 215. Yeah, so yeah, I'm thinking about someone else. So yeah, just another depth guy there for Purdue. Was very productive at Purdue. But, you know, obviously not great enough that I could remember him right away. So I just gave Yancey a C. Fifth round, 182, they got Aaron Jones, the running back from UTEP. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, we had a nice little banter back and forth. I'm giving him a C. Congratulations, you're going to be a fucking depth guy, buddy. Get at me now on Twitter. Sixth round, 212, they got KOFI. Oh, Jesus Christ. AMICHIA, tackle from South Florida. Didn't really rate him, didn't see him getting drafted. I think he was an undrafted free agent in most mocks, so that's a D+. Seventh round, 238, they got DeVante Mays, a running back from Utah State. Another running back. Are you guys just trying to see what sticks? D+. I don't like this approach of just randomly drafting running backs. But in the seventh round at 247, they got Malachi Dupree, the wide receiver from LSU. I'm giving that a B. That's solid value there, even though, you know, it's tough for him at LSU where they haven't had a quarterback in quite some time. Trust me, as a Gator fan, I also understand that. But with Dupree, I think there's a lot of upside, especially getting him in the seventh round. I mean, him and Isaiah Ford both going to the seventh round. Jesus. I would have been all over that if I was the Eagles. So that's a B there for Malachi Dupree. And overall, a C+ for the Green Bay Packers with a lot of picks. They got a lot of depth playmakers and a couple guys with upside, especially in Malachi Dupree. Great value. I like Montravious Adams, Kevin King, and I'm really interested to see how they intend on using Josh Jones. So finishing up, we're now going to the Minnesota Vikings. And the Vikings sure did have quite a few picks. They traded back... Did they even have a first-round pick? Did they trade back? No, they didn't have a first-round pick. I'm trolling. Thanks for... hope you guys enjoy Sam Bradford. So in the second round of pick 41, though, they get to get Dalvin Cook, the running back from Florida State. I'm giving this an A based off of value. Everyone knows my opinion on Dalvin Cook. I thought he was clearly the third back behind Fournette and McCaffrey. But that being said, he's still a beast. Still has excellent history, excellent tape from Florida. Even though there are his issues, he definitely has his fair side of downturn. But that's an A. Great value getting him in the second round. You know, now who's going to be the starter there? Him or Latavius Murray? I think that's going to be a battle to watch during camp. Great pick for the Vikings. That's an A. Third round, 70. They have Pat Elflein, the interior offensive lineman from Ohio State. He probably will play center. Can play guard. I think he'll be a center. That's a B. Big time position need for the Vikings to improve their offensive line. Fourth round, 109. They get Jaleel Johnson, defensive tackle from Iowa. Given that I C with upside. Personally, I don't really know if he's the exact scheme fit there. But with the uncertainty over Sharif Floyd, which goddamn sucks, hate seeing one of my Gators go down. Jaleel is not a bad pick. I just more so don't agree with the round. I think Jaleel probably a round reach for me. I thought he was more of a fifth round prospect, on my opinion. But again, addressing the position, especially if the Sharif Floyd thing, is a lot more serious than people think. You know, C with upside, maybe could be in a C+ territory. Fourth round, 120. They got Ben Gideon, the linebacker from Michigan. I like that. He tested fairly well. His tape was solid. That's a C+. Fifth round, 170. They got Rodney Adams, who is, you know, who doesn't know what Rodney Adams is about? Wide receiver from South Florida, clearly. I'm not going to lie, never heard of this guy in my life. That's a C-. 5th round, 180, they got Danny Isidora, the guard from Miami. I'm giving that a B. That's a tremendous pick. He really balled out at the combine, showed great athleticism, could be very, very good. I'm not so how sure he's going to be against the run, or against the pass, sorry, but he's going to be a guy that's going to be phenomenal against the run. We all know how the Minnesota Vikings like to establish the run, especially to help out old Sam Bradford there. So I think Isidora in the 5th was a great value pick. That's a B. 6th round, 201, they got Bucky Hodges at tight end for Virginia Tech. I'm giving that an A. He was my 3rd tight end on my tight end rankings. The fact that he slipped, obviously still a little bit of project player. Started out as a quarterback at Virginia Tech, still learning the position, pretty much more so a receiver than a complete type player. But we saw a guy like Evan Ingram, who's definitely nowhere near a good run blocking tight end, go very, very high. So I don't really know what happened with Bucky Hodges. Medical, maybe he had a terrible interview. That's an A for me. Having Bucky Hodges on 2 tight end sets with Kyle Rudolph, that is good for the Minnesota Vikings and good for Sam Bradford. 7th round, 219, they got Stacey Collie, the wide receiver from Miami. I'm giving that a B-. I think he's another great project type player. Could be the second coming of a Stephon Diggs. 7th round, 220, they got, I'm not even going to try to pronounce, Ifeadi Ogunhedebo, defensive end from Northwestern. Never heard of this guy in my life. Guy doesn't even have a goddamn Wikipedia page, for God's sake. So that's a D. 7th round, 232, we got Elijah Lee, the linebacker from Kansas State, outside linebacker. Give that a C+. That's great value in the 7th round. I thought Lee would go between, anywhere from the 4 to 6. So I think that's great value there, and improving and adding more depth to the linebacking core. And finishing up with the pick, 245, they got Jack Tosho, the corner from NC State. I definitely, agree with the evaluation, 7th round pick, prospect with some upside. Wasn't terrible at NC State. I think I had him mocked in the 7th round as well. Can't remember what team, but I'm just giving it a C. Camp body, special teamer if he makes the roster. Overall, giving the Minnesota Vikings a B+. I think this is back-to-back years I've had the Minnesota Vikings with the highest grade up there in the NFC North. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think, if you agree or disagree with any of my ratings. Lots of picks we went through here. If this is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.